Hi there, welcome to the kitchen at Westminster for another episode of Saving Thyme. This week I'm changing it up. There are good sales in the grocery store this week, do not get me wrong. There's some really good buys to be had out there. However, I wanted to do a pantry something. I wanted to do something that didn't need me to go to the store this week, and we're making dessert. It's a French-Canadian pudding. In English, it's an economy pudding, en français. It's a pudding of Chomeur, which basically translates to unemployed man, I don't know. But so basically what we're looking at is a pudding that you can put together from stuff that you already have in your house. So the idea is there's no expense, okay? So it's a fun recipe, and it means that you could make it any day, anytime, no big deal. Comes together quickly. French-Canadian puddings are I grew up calling them sponge puddings. It's basically a cake with a sauce that's baked right into it. It's really nice, you're gonna love it. Let's get on it. Simple recipe, dead easy. Start preheating your oven to 350. For the recipe, in the recipe itself, it's a 9 by 13 pan. Because of the nature of it in its finished way, I want it to be able to send an entire pudding to the family I'm going to donate it to, but I want it to be able to plate some to show you how nice it is when you take it out of the pan. So I'm doing it in 2 pans just for that reason. Butter your dish. Start by buttering your 9 by 13 pan so it's ready to go when you are. This is a clever little trick I'm hoping is going to work. Butter was in the fridge. I need a 1/4 cup of softened butter. I poured boiling water into this glass and set it on top, and you know what? It's worked. It has. It's soft because that was rock hard. So that's all I did, and it has worked. I like this method. I'm going to keep that in mind, because how many times have you done that? You go to do, even if it's to make sandwiches and the butter is hard. That's been sitting over top of it for about 5 minutes. It's a lot faster than, Hope, which is the other method I use for softening butter. Maybe it will soften. You think, I'm going to pop it in the microwave or something like that, and it always ends up melting instead of just softening. Look at that, it's going to work because it is softening on the back of the spoon, and that's what I needed to do. So that's just a 1/4 cup of butter, which you probably noticed because a stick is 1/2 cup and I cut the stick in half. We'll use a 1/2 cup entirely in the recipe, but just a 1/4 cup for now. Just get it softened up a little bit with the back of your spoon. I always use a wooden spoon for this kind of thing. It's just, sometimes the other spoons, well, they make a lot of noise, and B, they're not as sturdy. So just start to soften it that way. Then we need 1 egg. I know I set an egg out. Grab an egg. It can go in my now discarded butter dish. 1 egg in there. Just like that. Look how easy this is. I'm going to wipe that off my hands, not on my apron. I just washed this apron. I'm going to try to keep it clean for at least 10 minutes. There's that. Shannon's smiling at me because she laughs at me for constantly worrying about it, keeping it clean. We need 1 cup of sugar. So just in there. And we're going to put a teaspoon of vanilla in here. We're going to use more vanilla later in the recipe, but for now, just 1 teaspoon. There we go. And now we'll give this a good mix. Now, if you want to get an electric, like a hand mixer out, or your rotary mixer or something like that, you go right ahead. But if you're happy just to stir it up for a few minutes, my preferred method is to not get out a ton of stuff that I'm later going to have to wash everything off. So just give it a good blend. You can see the butter's really breaking down in there. The sugar will help. And just get it until it's nice and uniform. This is so easy. Okay, really, truly, and oh my goodness, delicious. If you've ever been, chances are you've driven through Quebec for whatever reason or visited extensively. The Saint-Hubert, the chicken restaurants, they have this on their dessert menu, this pudding. And it's very popular, well, because it's so versatile, easy. One time, I'll tell you what, one time in a pinch, I didn't have extra butter. I didn't want to use the last of my butter in this, and confession, I mashed up a banana. And it worked. I mean, you could taste the banana in the cake, but it worked. So, I mean, necessity is the something of, there's a whole thing about that. Anyway, I didn't have enough butter and I had a banana. So I thought, what the heck, I'm going to try. And it panned out. What's the worst that can happen? So it flops. Big deal, right? These are not hard eggs. Now all we're going to do is add our dry, and we're going to alternate it with 1 cup of milk. So at this point we've got random stuff. And if you don't have milk on hand, if you're low on milk, use some evaporated milk, or even powdered milk would do, okay? Don't be worried about it too much. For flour, we're looking at 1.5 cups. My big flour bin is down here, so I'm gonna just squat and get that. I'll dump in 1 cup to start. And I'm going to put in a little bit of salt, just a tiny bit. I don't want to get carried away. We'll do 2 pinches, okay? 2 pinches of salt. That's great. That's plenty. We're going to start mixing this in. We're going to do it alternately, so I'm going to do 2 and 2. And just slowly. You don't want to go so fast that you spill, that the flour all puffs up. So just blending it in. We're not aiming for a whole lot other than to get rid of the really dry bits at this point. Just like that. And then we're going to add in, we'll go about half of our milk this turn. That's 2% that I'm using. That's what I had here. If you've got lots of cream, use that. Honestly, use whatever you've got, okay? Canned milk, cream milk, whatever. Anything will do. And you can see, then give it a good stir at this point. Because now we've got enough in there that we can really give it a good beat. Okay, and we need another half cup of flour. So down there and up, there we go, half a cup. And we need, how much baking powder do I have here? 2 teaspoons of baking powder. That's a little bit messy. I'm just gonna wipe it on that, and then I'm gonna dry it on this. Shannon will be thrilled to see me do that, right? And 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 and 2. There we go. We're almost done. There's that. We're almost done the cake part. So this cake bakes with its own sauce in it, and it's so good. It's so good, truly is. Just give it a stir. And again, we're just looking to blend in that flour, and then we'll add the last of our milk. That's probably close enough. And this in, dump it all in. And again, go slow to start or it'll splash. And if you're using an electric mixer, get a deeper bowl so that you don't have a mess all over the kitchen. You're not gonna thank me for that help. Now, the oven's making it lovely and warm in here, but part of the reason I chose this recipe was for a dessert right now. It's been really cold the last few days, and a warm dessert is a treat. If your oven is already running at 350 for whatever meal you're cooking, perfect opportunity is to slip this in there with it, right? And you got dessert baking at the same time. Try just to time it so that this is going to take 35-40 minutes. Try to time it so that it's going to be ready just before you end eating, okay? So that you maybe take it out of the oven 5 minutes before you're done eating. And there, that's in great shape. Just like that. Brilliant. Now I'm just going to clean off that to make sure I don't leave any behind, because it's got a little bit of a bowl. There we go. Making a mess. Okay, there, I think I got it. I'm gonna quit trying. I'm gonna say that's good enough. There. Now, our 2 pans. I've got a bit of a mess there, and I don't want it to get on the bottom of the pan to go in the oven, just because it'll bake on and be a hassle later. Now, you will probably just have the 1 pan, so an easy matter. I'm going to try to be clever and split this a little bit. So I think I'll put a little in here first. that's probably enough. And then over to here. And I want to take this, the family I'm going to share this pudding with today has some family roots in Quebec, and I'm hoping that this will taste like nostalgia. I'm going to deliver it to them, and I'm hoping that they're going to taste it and feel like it's taking them to a different time and place and a happy memory. So many things that we eat are like that, right? You take a bite and it takes you back to the people who have made it for you, the places you've eaten it, who knows what. But food is all tangled up in our memories that way. And if you've never had this before, you're going to start making some food memories with it. There we go. That looks pretty good. And I think I'll spread that bit off of there into this one. Now, then we're going to set this aside for a minute and get our sauce ready. And the sauce, we're going to cook on the stove just barely. There. That can all be wiped up. Good. That's ready for the moment. Our sauce, we just need a relatively decent sized pot, not giant, just like that. Turn it on. I'm going to put 2 cups of water in there and bring it to a boil. So, I had measured out my 2 cups. I've got it on pretty high. That'll come up fast. As soon as that's at a boil, I'm going to move this flour because I'm convinced I'm going to trip over it. If I set it to the side, there. Now there's no risk. Once that's at a boil, we're going to stir in 2 cups of brown sugar and another 1/4 cup of butter. Remember I said you're going to have 1/2 cup total. And then, once that's all done, we'll add a little shot of vanilla. Just, it cuts the sugar a little bit. So we'll do a little bit of vanilla in there as well. Stir it all up. Cook it just barely, like a minute. And then we're going to pour it over top. Pop the whole thing in the oven. This is so easy. I'm afraid that's going to tip. Huh. I think I'll stand it up just in case. So as soon as that boils, we're going to be good, Shannon. If you want to take a minute, we'll come back when that water's okay, we're at a boil here, so I'm just going to add my 1/4 cup of butter. Just dump it in. And then start adding your 2 cups of brown sugar. There's half. I just got that wet. That's a drag because I want more. I dried it on my apron. And that was my 1/2 cup. Here's a full cup now. I know it seems like a lot. Don't worry, it's dessert. Okay, let's not get nervous about dessert. And finally, a full cup. Dump it in slow so it doesn't splash. And grab yourself a spoon. And we're just going to mix. Maybe we're going to let it go for about a minute. Not too long, just blending it. You're creating a syrup, essentially. We can let that go, and then we're going to pour it over our 2 cake batters. And then into the oven it goes. I would say, if you want to time it, I mean, you think you're at the table for about 15-20 minutes eating your dinner. So you would want to put this in about 20 minutes before you sit down. And then it should time out just about right. And you won't have to jump up from the table and leave too many things behind. You obviously want to serve this pudding warm, okay? Now, when I share this forward this afternoon after I finish, the folks I take it to, as long as it hasn't been cut into, they can set it into the oven and just reheat it a little bit, just to get it rolling again. So if you made it ahead of time, you could also do that. If you made it up early, just when you sit down to dinner, set it in the then shut off oven. Just that low residual heat will keep it going. As soon as that butter's melted, we're going to be ready to turn it over. I'll close this up. Isn't this great how we just made this with like really next to nothing? Honestly, 1 egg, a little bit of butter, and apparently if you follow my example, like if you don't have any butter, how about an overripe banana? I suppose in a pinch you could use, well, you could use shortening. That would be fine. If shortening is what you've got on hand, go ahead. It's not going to change anything too much. Flavor a little bit. Not a big deal. That's at another boil, so I'm happy to take it off. The butter's not quite melted completely, but a little bit of stirring around will do the job. You can hear that sizzle. Oh my goodness. And it's pure sugar goodness. Just saying. Don't be afraid of dessert. My goodness, it's a treat, right? And we need to treat it like one and enjoy ourselves a little bit. Now, just to get that out of the way. This seems strange, I know, but just trust me about this one. I want to make sure I have enough for my little one, so I'm going to do it first again. And always kind of tricky to pour out of there. Pour it right over the top. And then do this one. And look at all that beautiful sauce. Okay, and then we'll top this guy up. Just over the top. Try not to pour it all in. You can see me moving it around it so I don't create like a big divot where I'm pouring it, okay? So just spread it over. And I've got a little tiny bit left. We'll pour it on this one. If you're doing one pan, obviously, this is a far easier project. And then it's gonna go in the oven. I've got myself all preheated here, so over it goes. And as I said, we're gonna go 35 to 45 minutes. Your larger pan will take a little bit longer than my two small ones. Whoops. And be careful, okay, as you see, because that's hot. We know it is. We just took it off the stove. And it was boiling. There we go. 35 to 45, we're gonna know it's done when you can stick a toothpick in the center, and obviously not the sauce, but there's no cake batter stuck to it. I'll see you soon. Just went and clean. We're good. Oh my gosh. Wait until you smell how good this is. Wait until you're cooking. Look at this beautiful thing. I'm telling you what, you're gonna love this. It's so, so, so good. I'm just gonna get the little one here. Our nice little one. So delicious. Close that up. Now, I don't have any here, but I would recommend a scoop of ice cream or a little dollop of whipped cream on top to serve. Not necessary, it's already fantastic, but if you've got it, you gotta get it out. Don't be shy. You saw how easy we put this into the oven. It took us, what, 10, 15 minutes to get it oven ready? Barely any dishes, barely any ingredients, certainly nothing fancy. And here it is, ready on the table for you to serve for dessert. I want to give it maybe a minute just to sit before we spoon it out, okay? I'll come right back to dish it out. Okay, I say dig in. Enough waiting. This is silly. This is so good. Now, I know you're gonna love this, so when you eat this, when you make it and you eat it and you love it, please like the video, share the video with anyone else you know is gonna be all about this pudding, and subscribe to the Westminster Orangeville channel so you know when it's coming, okay? Hit that little notification bell. It's gonna show you when there's new videos up. See how that's like a cake on top? This is so good, you guys. Oh my gosh. You are in for a treat. Spoon that in, and then you can see, Shannon, if you want to come closer, you can see all that delicious sauce in the bottom of the pan. Get busy. Just drizzle that right on top, and oh my, you can taste it with me. I know you can. And if you put a little ice cream on there, then a little more sauce on top of the ice cream. It's going to get melted. It's going to be so good. I am actually going to make 2 of these bowls. Shannon and I, you know, here we are every week. We're doing this food. We get it all ready and all of that business. I say, I know I'm not sweet enough, and I'll tell you what, I have got a soft spot for dessert. Like, it's a problem, really. I'm going in with her. She and I are going to eat this up because it's best when it's warm. We're going to do that today. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to love it. I want you to do this now. Now you know. This is my recipe, and I don't want to not have any. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous recipe. Please, by all means, make this tonight. I bet you've got everything you need to do it right now. You don't even need to think about it. No going to the store. Pantry pudding, economy pudding, Chomeur, whatever you want to call it. It's great by any name. Enjoy your pudding. Warm dessert, cool day. I'm going to see you next week. We'll get back to regular episodes next week with real meal, but for now, have some fun. I'll see you soon.